stop scrolling. I mean that. Whatever you were doing before this video found you, put it down for a few minutes. Because what I pulled in this reading today is not something I can rush through, and it is not something you should half listen to while you are doing something else. I have been doing this work for years. I have sat with the energy of thousands of people from all over the world. And what came through when I set the intention for whoever was going to find this video today stopped me completely. I had to put the cards down. I had to just sit with it. I sat in silence for several minutes before I could even begin to think about how to say what Spirit was showing me. Because what I was feeling and the energy of the soul who was going to land here was not something I encounter every day. It was not something I encounter every month. It was something genuinely rare, and I wanted to make sure I gave it the respect it deserved before I opened my mouth. So here we are. And before you tell yourself this is probably not specifically about you, stay. Just stay for a few more minutes. Because I am not going to make a claim and leave you to just trust it. I am going to show you, card by card, layer by layer. And by the time we get to the end of this reading, something in you is going to recognize itself in a way it has been waiting to be recognized for a very long time. Something is going to feel confirmed that you have been carrying unconfirmed for years. And I think part of you already knows that because something in you clicked on this. Something in you stopped on this title out of everything else that was in your feed today. That was not random. That was not algorithm. That was recognition. The soul finding this reading recognized something in the title before the conscious mind had time to process it. My name is Elena. Let's go into the cards. Before I even reached for the deck today, a color came through. Deep royal blue, the blue of a night sky at the very edge of full dark, when the absolute last trace of light is still holding at the horizon before it finally releases into night. Spirit is saying this color is significant for you personally. Either it shows up consistently in your choices, the colors you wear, the way you decorate your space, the colors your eye moves toward without you consciously deciding to, or it is simply the natural color of your energy field when you are fully and completely yourself, when you are not performing anything for anyone, when you are just you. Royal blue is the color of the throat chakra at its most open and the third eye at its most active at the same time. That specific combination tells me something foundational about who you are before I have pulled a single card. You are someone who knows things, who perceives things at a level most people do not perceive at, who feels the truth of a situation before you have any logical reason to feel it, who walks into a room and already knows something about it before anyone has said a word. And you have spent a significant portion of your life trying to figure out what to do with that ability, whether to trust it or to keep talking yourself out of it, whether it means something or whether you are just someone who thinks too much. Spirit is here today to tell you it means something. It has always meant something. I am also getting the letter M coming through very clearly before the first card lands, or possibly the letter J. This could be your initial. The initial of someone who has played a defining and foundational role in who you are, or the initial of a situation or a place that is connected to what this reading is about to confirm for you. Hold it. Watch how it threads through everything that follows. The first card out of this deck is the World. And I want you to actually feel what it means that this is the very first card in a reading about who you actually are and what you are actually carrying. The World does not land first for people who are still figuring out the basics. It does not arrive first for souls who are in the early stages of their journey, who are still in the process of accumulating the foundational experiences that shape a soul's depth and direction. The World lands first for someone who has already traveled a distance that most people will not travel in a single lifetime, who has already done the kind of internal work, the kind of genuine reckoning with themselves and their life that most people will never even know needs to be done, who is operating right now from a depth of awareness and integration that takes most souls many cycles to arrive at. And Spirit choosing this card to represent you in the very first position is not flattery designed to make you feel good. It is an accurate description of what I am encountering in the energy of whoever is watching this right now. The world is completion, not ending, completion. There is a difference, and it matters. Completion is what happens when a soul has genuinely integrated, at a deep and lasting level, what it came into this lifetime to learn. Not intellectually understood, actually integrated, carried in the body, lived through and metabolized, made real through experience rather than just through comprehension. And what follows genuine completion is not an ending, but a readiness. A readiness to move into the next expression of oneself from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of still becoming. That is where you are right now. You are not a soul that is still becoming the main thing. You are a soul that has already arrived at something real and is now in the process of expressing it outward into the world. There are people in your life who have not understood the full picture of you. They have seen pieces, the capable piece, the caring piece, the reliable piece, the part of you that shows up for whatever role you carry in their lives. But they have not seen the whole. They have not been given access to the depth, partly because you have learned through experience to be thoughtful about who you allow into the deeper places. Partly because the whole of you is genuinely more than most people in your current landscape have the range to fully perceive or receive. The world appearing first is spirit saying, I see the whole, not fragments, not the version of you that fits most comfortably into a conversation. The whole, complete, full picture of what you are. And what I see is extraordinary. Scorpio and Capricorn energy are running strongly through this card for you. The transformative depth of Scorpio, the part of you that has been in genuinely dark places and has come back from them carrying something real and irreplaceable, something you could only have found by going there. And the quiet, unshakable, this will not break me endurance of Capricorn, the part of you that has continued to show up and continued to build even through seasons where the reasons for continuing were completely invisible from the outside, where you had to trust something internal that had no external support. If you carry either of these signs in your chart, especially as a moon or a rising, the World card is speaking directly to the core of what you have built through everything you have walked through in this life. Numbers coming through with the World: 21 and 12. Birthdays on the 21st or the 12th of any month are significant here. December feels particularly highlighted in this reading. Either your own birthday lives there, or someone who has been enormously important in shaping who you are, or there is a December that holds meaning you are still in the process of fully understanding. The number 3 is also circling this card. Completions that come in threes, cycles completing. The third version of something that is finally the version that is actually right and actually holds. Deep burgundy is coming through as a secondary color note around the world. Wine red. Rich and dark and warm. Something that deepens with time rather than fading. Something that is more complex and more valuable for the distance it has traveled and the things it has moved through. That is a description of what you carry. The second card is the Emperor reversed. This card arriving in the position of what you have always known that others dismissed or minimized is telling me something very specific about the nature of the authority that was brought against your own knowing during this lifetime. The Emperor in his upright position is structure, established order, the way things are supposed to work. The version of reality that is defined and maintained by the people who have been given authority and who use that authority to determine what counts as real, what counts as valid, what counts as an appropriate way to navigate the world. Reversed, that authority is exposed. It is shown to be operating not from genuine wisdom or genuine sight, but from its own limitation, its own blindness, its own need to maintain a particular order that serves the people at the center of it. The Emperor reversed is the false authority, the one that sounded certain but was not seeing clearly, the one that told you what was real when it was actually working from an incomplete and self-serving picture. You have been told things by voices that carried authority, by people who positioned themselves as knowing and who delivered their version of reality with a confidence that made it very hard to argue with, by a structure that presented itself as correct simply because it had been in place for a long time, and because the people inside it agreed with each other. And something in you, that deep, quiet running awareness that the World card just confirmed is real and is one of your defining gifts, never fully accepted those things. There was always something underneath that said, this does not match what I actually know to be true. This does not match what I am actually feeling and seeing and perceiving. And you spent enormous amounts of energy over years of your life trying to decide whether to trust the external authority or the internal knowing, whether the voice outside of you or the voice inside of you was the more reliable one. The Emperor reversed is giving you the answer to that question once and for all, clearly and completely, and without any qualification attached. The internal knowing was right. The external authority was blind in the exact places where your clarity was sharpest. Your perception was not the problem. Your gut was not misleading you. The thing that felt wrong was actually wrong. The thing that felt real was actually real. The thing that felt off about a situation or a person was off. You were reading things correctly the entire time. And the only thing that prevented you from fully acting on that reading was the weight of external voices that had made themselves louder in your inner life than they had any right to be. I'm getting the letter D very clearly, or possibly the letter T around this card. Someone whose name begins with D or T is connected to this particular dynamic. Either they were the primary voice of that false authority in your life, or they were someone who witnessed your struggle with it from the outside. Or they are someone who is going to be present and significant in what happens now that this truth has been fully confirmed. Numbers with this card, 4 and 13. January energy is strong around the Emperor reversed, and I'm seeing the color steel gray clearing away. Not a permanent gray, a lifting, dissolving gray. The color of the fog of someone else's limited perception finally clearing from your view of yourself. Aries energy comes through with this card as well. That fire that has always been in you. The part of you that has always known you were meant to trust yourself and has been quietly frustrated, sometimes loudly frustrated, by the seasons and the situations and the people that asked you to do something other than that. The third card is the High Priestess. When she arrives in the position of what the people around you have consistently missed about who you are, I feel something very specific. Not a vague sense of recognition, a precise and particular feeling of encountering something that has been present the whole time without ever being properly named or seen. The High Priestess is the card of what lives in the interior. The knowing that does not require performance to be real. The wisdom that does not announce itself at the beginning of a conversation. The depth that operates quietly below the surface level of how you present yourself, without requiring external acknowledgement to function or to be true. And what Spirit is showing me through this card in this specific position, in the position of what has been most consistently overlooked about you by the people in your world, is that the most significant and most genuinely valuable dimension of who you are is also the dimension that has received the least adequate recognition. Because the High Priestess does not perform for people. She does not wave her gifts around in a way that makes them easy to see or catalog or appreciate from the outside. She does not make it convenient for people to recognize her. She simply knows, and she holds what she knows, and she sees what she sees, and she waits. And in a world and a culture that rewards the loudest, the most visible, the most performative, the most consistently outward-facing, the High Priestess can move through years and years of being surrounded by people who genuinely believe they know her well, while having only ever encountered the very outermost surface of what she actually is. You have been known without being known. You have been present in people's lives without being truly seen within them. You have been understood in fragments by the people who thought they understood you fully, while the whole of what you are has remained largely untouched by anyone's understanding. And the High Priestess arriving here in this position is Spirit doing something very simple and very important, acknowledging it. not as a tragedy, not as something broken that needs to be fixed, as a context, as the explanation for why certain things have felt lonely even in the presence of people who love you. Because being around people who love a fragment of you while not seeing the whole of you is its own particular kind of loneliness. And you have known that loneliness. The High Priestess knows it too. Cancer and Pisces are running through this card strongly. The deepest water sign energies. The ones that feel at registers most people simply do not have access to. The ones that know things they cannot always explain, and who have spent years and sometimes decades trying to decide whether to trust that knowing fully or whether to keep one hand on the railing of logic just in case. If you carry Cancer or Pisces anywhere in your chart, and especially if you carry a Pisces moon or a Cancer rising, this card is landing in the most personal and most accurately described place in your entire chart. Moonstone is coming through as significant for you with this card. Either you own moonstone jewelry, or you are drawn to it when you encounter it, or someone has given it to you at a meaningful moment, or spirit is simply using its qualities as the most accurate description of your energy available. Moonstone is luminous. It shifts. Different depths become visible depending on how the light falls on it and from what angle you are looking. It does not give everything away at once. It reveals itself slowly, different layers becoming visible as you continue to engage with it. That is you. That is exactly the experience of knowing you. Numbers 2 and 11. Master number 11 present and significant. Birthdays on the 2nd, 11th, or 20th. The letter S or L circling the High Priestess. Someone connected to these initials is either one of the rare people who has actually seen you, or they are the person who is about to. Water keeps threading through this entire reading. Spirit will not let it go. Being near water restores something in you that daily life consistently takes. Standing at the edge of a large body of water does something for you that nothing else replicates. That is not a personality quirk. That is information about how you are built and what your system requires to stay connected to itself. Now I want to stop with the cards for a moment and speak to you as directly as I am capable of speaking. Because Spirit has been pressing something toward me since the very beginning of this reading, and I have been building towards saying it, and the time to say it is now. You are one of the highest vibrational souls I have come into contact with in the entirety of this work. And before you do the thing, the very predictable thing, where you half receive that statement and then quietly move it to the side because it feels too large to fully believe, I want to say something very specific about what I mean. Because I think what makes that statement land differently when it is grounded in specificity rather than left as a general claim is the difference between something you carry with you and something you smile at and forget. When I say high vibrational, I am not talking about someone who has everything figured out. I am not talking about someone whose life is easy or whose path has been smooth or who moves through difficulty without being touched by it. High vibrational does not mean frictionless. In my experience, the souls operating at the highest frequencies often carry some of the most genuinely difficult paths precisely because the depth of experience they are capable of processing means life brings them proportionally more to process. What I mean when I say high vibrational is this specific set of things: the frequency at which your awareness operates, the depth and accuracy of your perception of what is actually happening in situations and in people, the capacity for feeling that you carry, not feeling that overwhelms you, feeling that informs you, that gives you data, that tells you true things about what is real, the quality of love that you are capable of generating and holding and offering. These specific dimensions of who you are operating at a register that is rare, not cultivated into existence through spiritual practice, not developed, native, innate, something you arrived here already carrying. And I am genuinely moved sitting with this reading right now, not performing moved, actually moved, in the way that happens when you encounter something real in this work and you feel the weight of what it means. What moves me is knowing that this soul has been walking around with what I am describing, this level of gift, this depth, this quality, and has been doing that carrying largely without acknowledgement, without a single voice saying clearly and completely, and without qualification, what you are is real, and it is extraordinary, and it was always real, and always extraordinary even in every season when nothing around you reflected that. Today, I am that voice, and I need you to let it in. The fourth card is the star. In the position of what becomes available to you now that this confirmation has arrived, the star is one of the most genuinely beautiful answers I have ever witnessed in this position in a reading. The star is hope that has been tested and has survived the test. Not the naive kind of hope that exists before experience has given you any reason to doubt. The kind that exists after the doubt, after the dark, after the nights that were longer than they should have been, after the seasons where you kept moving without being able to see the reason for continuing, and you kept moving anyway. The star comes after the tower falls, after the thing that was supposed to hold has come down. And what it says when it arrives is not that the pain was worth it in some abstract way. It says something more specific and more real than that. It says, you came through. And what came through is not diminished by what it survived. It is refined by it, more genuinely itself. More real, not less. More capable of depth, not less. What becomes available to you now is a sense of rightness about where you are and where you are going that does not depend on external circumstances to sustain itself. A knowing that does not need evidence because it is not belief, it is recognition. You are on your path. Your path is real. It is leading somewhere genuine and somewhere that is actually sized correctly for everything you carry. And the doubt that has been sitting alongside that knowing, the part of you that kept asking whether you were just hoping, whether you were being naive, whether the sense of purpose and depth you feel is real or invented, that doubt is releasing now. Not because the star says everything will be easy from here, because the star says something true about where you actually stand. White flowers keep coming through with this card. White jasmine or gardenia. Flowers that are simple and small in their form, but that release something enormous and impossible to ignore into the air around them. You walk past them and you are stopped, not by how they look, by what they release. That is the quality of your impact on people who actually encounter you, not the surface of you. The thing you release when someone actually comes into genuine contact with you. Aquarius energy is strong here. That feeling of being slightly ahead of the moment you are living in, of operating on a frequency the people immediately around you are still in the process of catching up to. Numbers 17 and 8. August and February feeling significant. Letters E and R circling this card as connecting initials. The fifth card is the Ace of Cups. This is the permission card in this reading. The one that matters most in terms of what you actually do with everything that has been confirmed today. The one that determines whether this reading becomes something you feel for a few minutes and then set down, or something that actually changes how you move forward. You are allowed to receive now. I want you to hear that, and I want you to actually let it land rather than nodding at it and moving past it. You are allowed to receive. For someone who has spent so much of their life in the position of giving, who has been the holder, the healer, the one who stays steady, the one everyone brings their weight to, the one who creates safety for other people as naturally as breathing, the act of genuinely receiving is not simple. It actually requires something from you. It requires believing you deserve what is being offered. And believing you deserve it means believing that the soul spirit has been describing throughout this reading is real and is you. The extraordinary one, the high vibrational one, the one who was right about the things she was told she was wrong about, the one who deserves to finally be fully seen. And I know that some of you are sitting right now with a part of yourselves that is resisting this, that is looking for the exit, that is finding a reason to place this reading slightly outside of your own story. To say this is beautiful, but it is probably not specifically me, probably not my level, probably not quite what this is describing. I understand that resistance completely. It comes from years of having the mirror held at the wrong angle. From years of having your size reflected back smaller than it actually was. From years of calibrating your sense of yourself based on the reflections of people who simply did not have the capacity to perceive you accurately. After enough of that, a soul learns to pre-qualify itself, learns to arrive at beautiful truths with one hand already hovering near the door, just in case. The Ace of Cups is the universe holding up the right mirror today. And what it is showing is not a small, qualified, probably not quite soul. It is something full to overflowing that has been holding itself carefully, protecting what it carries from being given to places that could not receive it properly. And the Ace of Cups is saying those places are behind you. You can open now. Both hands. No hovering near the door. Pearls are coming through with this card. Either you own pearl jewelry that holds meaning, or someone significant in your life wore pearls. Or Spirit is using the pearl as the most accurate symbol available. Something formed through difficulty, layer by layer, inside something that was closed and protecting what was forming within it. That takes time, real time. And when it finally emerges, it is among the most valuable and most beautiful things the natural world is capable of producing. You are the pearl. And everything that formed you, including and especially the difficult things, the seasons that were too long, the moments that asked too much, was the formation of something rare. Libra flows through this card. The longing for genuine exchange, for love that recognizes what you are bringing and brings something equally real in return. Numbers 1 and 6. June running as a thread through this reading. Letters C and A around the Ace of Cups. Before I give you the full confirmations, I want to take a moment to share something personal with you. Because what I am about to say is connected directly to the kind of people who find their way into a reading like this one. In my last video, I mentioned that my father had not been well. I asked, it came out almost without planning, it just came out, if anyone watching would hold him in their prayers. I did not know how many people would hold that moment with them after the video ended. I did not know if it would land or simply pass. It landed. The messages that came in after that video were something I was not prepared for. People I have never met, from places I have never been, who found that video at moments in their own day when they needed something, and who stopped inside that moment to pray for a man whose name they did not even know. Because that is who you are. That is the kind of people who find their way to this space. People who, in the middle of their own lives, stop and hold something for someone else just because they care. My father is so much better. And I genuinely, completely believe that the prayers of this community were part of that. There were specific moments during the hardest days where something shifted in a way that felt like it was coming from somewhere beyond what our family alone could hold. I know now what that was. It was you. So before I close, I want to say thank you. From the deepest place I have. Thank you for being the kind of people who do that. And I want to hold something with you now, for every father connected to everyone in this space. That no father carries pain he does not need to carry. That every family is kept from the kind of waiting our family sat in. That every prayer any of you has ever sent out for someone you love finds its way home multiplied. Full confirmations now. Letters through this reading. M, J, D, S, L, E, R, C, A. Names coming through. Maya, James, Daniel, Sophie, Layla, Rachel, Camille, Adrienne. Take what resonates in your body. Astrology, Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces, Cancer, Aquarius, Libra, Aries, all present. Check your big three. At least one of these is yours, and it is the placement most directly spoken to by today. Flowers, white jasmine, gardenia, moonflower. Numbers 2, 3, 4, 8, 11, 12, 17, 21. June, August, December, January, all significant. If your birthday or someone significant to you falls in these windows, this reading arrived for you specifically. If you want to go deeper into your specific situation, the details, the timing, what the right next move actually looks like in your real life, I do private email readings, and the link is in the description. Here is the full picture of what Spirit showed me. You are an old soul operating at one of the highest vibrational frequencies I have encountered in this work. Your instincts have been right all along about the situations, about the people, about yourself. The false authority that was brought against your knowing is reversed. The depth that was missed by the wrong people is about to be clearly visible to the right ones. A hope that cannot be shaken is now available, and you have full permission to open and receive what has always been meant for you. You were right. You were always right. And now the world is finally, genuinely catching up to what you have always known. Leave I claim my energy in the comments if this found you. Share it with one person who needs to hear today that they are not too much and they were never wrong about themselves. I love you all. I am Elena. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.